Big fat Russian titties.
Did I miss that episode? I think I missed that.
You did, yeah. You weren't here for that.
Fletcher Thomas. Ooh, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was peddling them titties. He knew what he was about.
As you know, those were turn-of-the-century titties. They don't make them like that.
Yeah. Those are down-home titties. They just
You can't get those anymore.
No, you sure can.
You can.
Do you think guys in the centenarians, the 90-year-olds are like, you know what you never see a good pair of? Turn of the century titties. Yes.
Yeah. I do think they do that. I think they do that. It reminds them of the old days, and they feel classic. They're classic titties.
You know what I love 1950s bras.
Oh,
It just leaves everything like, oh my.
I know.
Torpedo. Give me some torpedo titties any day.
it just seems like a hug is uncomfortable for all parties.
And I guess that's how children were made in the 50s. Enter baby boomers.
Right. Yep. That's why we're here.
That's honestly, that's how this.
Just somebody fucked in the 50s, and our parents were born, I think, and then we're here.
Justin, your mom was born in the 70s, wasn't she?
I don't know how it works. All right, KY, give us an intro, you fuck.
I can't even fucking do it. Welcome to the Lesser Known People podcast. I am your host for this evening, Mr. KY Jelly. I'm not going to do Kyle the Caveman tonight. I'm KY. I'm here and joined with my beautiful brothers. We got a full cast tonight. We got Connor the Coat Rack. How are you doing tonight, Mr. Connor?
Thanks for having me on, Kyle. First time caller, long time listener.
Speaking of which, I've got my own Bob and Tom, my Bob to my Tom, Mr. J Money, Justin Abbott. How are you this evening?
I am great. My dog, Small Kevin, is wandering around staring at me tonight. His red rocket is out and about. Yeah, my
everyone
dogs
enjoys a good dog dick.
Yeah, well,
that's broad strokes. That's a broad stroke.
Yeah,
that's true.
Is there a chance that your dog has taken his dick for a walk?
Oh, for sure. As much as my dog drags his dick across my couch, he's taken for a walk.
Speaking of dicks going for a walk,
he's just taking smaller Kevin for a walk.
Yeah, small Kevin is taking slightly smaller Kevin for a slightly smaller walk. We've got a dick on the walk, a cock of the coop, Mr. Sean. How are you, my magic carpet?
I'm doing well, flying high, you know.
Oh, always. You're just among the eagles.
All day long,
on the clouds?
staying strong.
Yeah. Our other smaller alabaster focal point, Mr. Big Cat. How are you this evening, sir?
Did you need to add in smaller?
It was a piece of it.
It's
a piece of it.
It is a piece of it? It is a piece of it? Fuck this fucking podcast. Hashtag release the Big Cat tapes. Hashtag release the Big Cat tapes.
I love this dynamic between you two. You hate each other and you love each other. Fuck me. Fight me. It's
always so penis focused. It's you know what really kicked it off, and no shame to him whatsoever. It's Small Kevin's penis. It's in your room. It's on your mind. And now
it's
we're
on
talking
your couch
about
too.
On your couch, dragging it all over the place.
We all know Dog Dick sells a podcast.
I got it. Yeah. So
this podcast brought to you by Audible.
We had to get some ad space in there. Audible. If you have a podcast about dog dick, Audible.
Audible.
Sharing.
Sign up with the promo code DOGDICK. Save 10% off your next Audible purchase.
KY, who are we talking about tonight?
So we are talking about, there's a bit of a title here. We have Henry Cyril Paget, who was the 5th Marquess of Anglesey.
Oh my God. I actually might know who the fuck we're talking about tonight.
Yeah.
This guy is a fucking crazy person.
Yeah, he is an absolute lunatic. And he gained a little bit of fame earlier this year because I keep calling it Anglesey. It's Anglesey. I don't know. It's Welsh. This whole thing is Welsh. So all the weird words, blame that really weird Welsh region in Britain because it's all fucked and the names are weird.
And KY is ignorant. He's dumb.
And that's my fault. And that's me. That's me. That's my ignorance.
Don't nobody hate him for it. You can't hate him for it.
Yeah, it's out there, so I can't be blamed. You know what I mean?
Love KY for who he is.
But so the family tiara, which we will talk about later, came up in an art exhibit. It was shown in the Netherlands in January before COVID killed everyone, and he was escalated to the front
pandemic,
pages.
the 5G towers. You mean? Come on, dude. We're out here.
Come on, dude. Wake up! It's the fucking chemtrails. Every day they've been doing it to us
Wake
for
up,
years.
man. It's the
True.
fucking truth.
Listen, you
Finally
guys.
People
accumulated.
tune in for the truth. They tune in for the truth.
Yeah, you guys better stop because you're getting into a territory that I'm going to cover in a couple weeks.
Okay, all right. We're gonna hold it there because we
Breaks on
want to
that,
save
because
it.
That's a great story.
So we're talking about Mr. Henry Paget, and he's got his whole title thing going on. All right. Let me give you a quick. We'll do a setup, and then we'll get into the story. Right. So, born in June of 1875. So we're going in the way back machine, and he is considered British royalty. And I got a note on what's what because I don't fucking know how any of that shit works. He was the eldest son of the family, the Paget family, and he inherited the title of the fifth, and it is Marquess. I thought it was Marquise, but it's Marquess of Anglesey in 1898 when he was 23 years old. So he inherited the title from his father when he was 23, right? So his family upbringing was a little strange. So he was the eldest son of Blanche and Henry, his
Blanche.
father. And you know, Blanche is it's what you think of when you think of Blanche, sexy.
You do.
Regal.
You definitely think this guy is
Very.
a pale little bitch, but he's also sexy.
Yeah, super sexy.
Golden Girls. Come
Yeah.
on now.
Yep. Classic Blanche.
Yeah, that's classic Blanche. Yeah.
So Blanche is the second wife of Papa Henry Paget. I don't know what happened to the first one. She probably died of like a stub toe or something because it's the 1875s. But our friend Baby Henry, who we're talking about tonight, his biological father was rumored to be, and essentially later confirmed to be, Benoit Constant Coquelin, a famous French stage actor of the time.
Ooh,
Oh, now
fucking-
it all makes
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now we're okay. So
Yeah.
now we got some drama going, right? So
We-
it's rumored to be that his real father is this guy Benoit, and it's just a classic sort of like this. His biological mother. Sorry, let me make sure I look at my notes right. So his biological mother dies when he's 2, which is sad. She dies like TP or TP.
TP. She
TP.
died too much
TP.
toilet paper.
Too much
Holy
toilet paper.
shit.
Yeah, definitely. She got TP'd too hard. Yeah.
Too-
That early
too hard.
Corona.
He was mummied for that Halloween costume.
TB.
She had a Corona mindset was what her problem was.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
He went out,
died
bought
ex-
all the TP, and just drowned in it. Yeah.
Never make a mistake on this podcast. You will
Yeah,
be
no.
fucking crucified.
No mistake will go unpunished. So she died of TB, tuberculosis.
Very likely she died of TB. Thank you.
He choked on toilet paper.
So anyway, she
Science.
fucking dies. Henry was sent to Paris, and he was raised by a close family member of the Frenchman who also happened to be his aunt on his father's side. So basically, he was raised by an aunt, but also she is related to this guy. So it is anyway. There's some connections there of like who's this guy's daddy. Anyway, Papa Paget, the fourth Marquess of Anglesey, he remarried some American lady, and basically his childhood was relatively uneventful after that. He was raised between France and England. He went to Eton College, which they say it's a college, but it's just a boarding school, so it's like high school. So he was super well educated for the time because he went to high school, which is pretty cool.
Hey.
I think he majored in orphan kicking, as I think all royal families have to.
Yes.
Something spitting
And
on
he
He
servants.
majored in white privilege.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And your inability to check it. Never
Yeah.
check it. He and then he did what a lot of the Brits in the royal family do. He served as a non-commissioned officer in the Royal Welsh Fusiliers, which is still to this day a service over there, I believe.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So he served as a non-commissioned officer?
I
or as a
apologize.
commis-
As a commissioned officer.
Okay, all right,
Yes,
all right.
as a
good.
commissioned officer. Anyway, so he serves, and then I'm sure he's like fucking 17 at this point. In the Fusiliers, again, they're a well-respected. I'm going to use the term company, but section of the British military. Anyway, so on July 20th, the wedding bells ring, and July 20th, 1898, he is married to his cousin Lillian Florence Chendwith.
Solid, dude.
You know that's love. You know that's love.
You know it's
That's
love.
Your
real
cousin
love.
and you're wealthy. You know that's love.
Yeah. I tried to figure out like which cousin, where, when, which side sort of thing, but there's just not a lot of shit on her. She just was a cousin apparently. So
Honestly, she was probably fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Let's be fair.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Poor
you have
guy,
the same
really.
grandparent. That's compatibility right there.
Definitely. It is. It
It's
is.
solid.
Honestly, I don't know what's a better icebreaker on a first date. We have the same grandparent. Come
Hey,
on.
remember Grandpa Joe? Yeah, he's an
Yeah.
asshole.
Remember, he's
Yeah.
terrible. That guy was awful.
Connection.
instant connection. You
I
have
hated
so
that
much in
guy.
common already. It's super easy. I think it was like they're like second cousins or some shit. It's like far enough away in the family tree to
Okay.
not be super genetically weird, but
Okay. So just so our audience knows, it is a second cousin scenario. In my mind, I was thinking first cousin because when we said cousins, I thought it was first.
well, and I think first cousins are the horniest cousins is the thing.
Oh, definitely. And those are the ones you really want to fuck.
For each
Yeah.
other. Yeah.
Forbidden fruit.
Definitely, those are the
every
ones you
time.
really want to fuck. Then you go to second. Second is like, I guess I'll take the sloppy seconds.
Yeah,
That's how
it
they
is.
got the name second cousin.
That's how they got the name is sloppy second cousins. Absolutely.
Yes. All jokes aside,
All bets are off.
We're talking about British, autocracy in some point here, just this aristocratic kind of society. I was assuming it was like immediate cousins. They wanted to keep this in the family, but this is a different.
Yeah, my understanding is it is potentially a second cousin who may in fact be married in. You know what I mean?
Okay.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
not-
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Definitely.
there was no big notations about that. And honestly, she seemed like a pretty uneventful person as far as making waves. This guy
I
is
hope never. I'm sorry. I gotta pause.
Yeah.
I hope no one ever describes my life as uneventful. Just you're an uneventful person. They were a postage stamp of a human being, quite
Yeah.
frankly.
So honestly, this is where it begins to get ridiculously good.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yes.
when they
Wait,
say
can we back up and talk about cousin love?
no, we can't.
No.
You pervy.
Okay,
No.
all right.
We're past
I'm
it.
sorry.
Yeah, we're past it.
Got it. Sorry.
So the same year he gets married in 1898 is when he takes over his father's throne. His father passes away in October, and he inherits the full cadre and everything that comes with being the fifth Marquess of Anglesey, which includes the following. He inherited the title, so it's an official royal title. He inherited the 30,000 acres of family estate, which constitutes 47 square miles of land in Staffordshire, Dorset, Anglesey, and Derbyshire. No fucking clue where those things are. It provides an annual income of, at the time, £110,000, which converted into today's US dollar is $16 million a year.
Say no more. I'll fuck him. I'll marry him.
Jesus.
Definitely.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Fuck him. I'll marry him.
Yeah,
Fuck
I
him,
would
I'm
marry. I would marry my first cousin in a second for $16 million a year. I do it once
A
for $16
year.
million once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No question. I'm settled. I'm settled with you. You beautiful, pale, dumb.
Now, obviously, pale, dumb, probably seem really
Probably
dumb.
dumb. I'm gonna add dumb in there because I know you're
I'm
dumb.
gonna add dumb. It's an assumption, but I'm 99% sure I'm
Wait,
right
are
about it.
we back on cousin loving again?
We're not gonna go back to cousin loving. We're gonna move right
I
past it.
got a cousin
You
that
have
I'd be loving.
you have an uncomfortable amount of opinions about this topic.
Yeah, I really want to talk about it. All right, KY. Tell me about this guy. I'm sorry.
So
Go
he
back
got-
to this cousin lover, KY. Let's go.
Yeah,
Come on.
this cousin kisser. So he got, long story short, he got seriously fucking rich like right away. And I mean, keep in mind, it wasn't like he was raised destitute and then became rich. His dad was making this money. He was fucking rich, but he just then was like, oh shit, it's my fucking decision now, right?
This is the high end of aristocratic society. He's never gonna be anything but rich. He will only make more money.
Exactly. Like, so he is looking in the face of, I am this until I die now, which is an important note to make. If you were 23 and you became a multimillionaire in turn of the century, fucking middle of nowhere, England,
You're
what would
making
you do?
$16 million a year.
60,
Yeah.
it is
What do you do?
almost right. It's like, and you are, again, you're 23. I think the estates and the management of that were probably not really on his radar. So
No.
he does what everybody would do, which is to throw parties and create your own theater company where you star in every single production.
Fuck yes.
Oh my God,
Fuck
yes. Yeah,
this
dude.
is
That's
my
basically-
guy.
If you made that much money, that is the equivalent of like buying your own basketball team and then starting on the fucking team. I own it. I fucking own it.
He would be the Lakers He would be the NBA basketball team, but then wear like LeBron's jersey, even though LeBron's on his team. He would do that shit.
He would do that fucking shit and just, I'm starting with you, LeBron.
Yeah.
We're both LeBron tonight.
He's just like a pasty 5'6" white guy.
Yeah.
It's like, give me the ball, bro. Give it to me.
He's
Give
just
me the
screaming.
rock.
And just shoots every time he touches the fucking ball. Exactly. Yeah.
The guy's a trigger. So yeah, no shit. He creates his own theater company and is like, yeah, I guess I'm the star of every fucking show. It just begins to get crazy. So his first order of business with the theater company was to take the royal estate, which is technically owned by the government, kind of, right? It's a representation of your place in the society. So
at least somewhat owned by the people, right?
Exactly, right. So your job is to manage the estate, and in doing so, you get a salary. That's the point of it, right? So he was like, fuck that. So he takes the royal estate and changes the name from a very Welsh name, which this had been the name since the founding of the estate and all this, the line of royalty, whatever. It was called Plas Nuid. It's Welsh again. There's like 3D. Yeah, I don't know. There's like 3Ds in this thing. It makes no sense. Anyway, so he changes the name from the name it had been for hundreds of years at this point, over 300 years at this point. Changed it to Castle Anglesey because he thought it was way sexier. And he turned the chapel, which again had been there since the beginning or very, very early on, this family chapel. Everyone has been married there. His father probably got married there. There's a good chance he got married there. And he turned that chapel into the theater.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
More important.
Oh my
More
God.
people will come.
More people, and people will worship me because they're in a theater.
Well, it's not stupid because it already had seats. It already had a stage. He just had to fucking dress it up a bit and get all the God out of there, and he was good to go.
Get all the God out.
That's
KY, you sacrilegious fuck.
when you look at kind of old, you go back to kind of medieval times when they study kind of origins of of kind of songwriting, that sort of thing, and then also theater production. They were very closely associated with the church because that was the venue that actually had the premise for doing it.
Right. It was already set up for performances, and I don't mean that in a sacrilegious way, but as you're on there, as you're proselytizing, it is a performance, and I think that a lot of people should see it that way.
And that's what Joel Osteen does every single day. Come worship with me. It's a performance. Let's do this. Oh my God.
Let's do this. I got to get some more calcium to grow my teeth larger.
Joel Osteen is the worst Christian I've ever. Never mind. We're getting this fucking. We're gonna go down a deep, dark, dirty.
I only brought him up because I knew he would be the worst one to think of.
Dude,
He is a fucking monster.
We could do a whole fucking episode on Joel Osteen.
We really could, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And as maybe the only card carrying Christian on this bunch here, fuck you, Joel Osteen, if you're listening.
So he had a bunch of this people money, and he was doing whatever the fuck he wanted, right? So he fitted his new theater with electricity, which was incredibly novel at the time, certainly for a venue that large. It sat 150 people, and he kept all the shows free for all his. At first, it was just pals, and then he opened it up to the public, and it became quite obvious that he just really, really enjoyed performing, and so he kept on fucking performing. Okay, so
Kicked out God and brought in the devil is what he did.
So what exactly was he performing?
it was just any theater piece of the time. My understanding is it wasn't a lot of original stuff. I think he was just putting on established plays. He did some Oscar Wilde stuff.
Sounds like a fucking hack to me.
I think he was about putting his own spin on the performances rather than writing a lot of performances himself. He's an actor.
Okay.
You know,
Okay, I'm cool with that. Like I saw that.
It sounds to me like Anglesey needs some culture.
Definitely.
You know,
Yeah,
it needs to get some like Oscar Wilde,
that's right.
Voltaire in there.
As the most
Yes.
Irish man in the bunch, I could see why Connor would say that.
one of the most notable things about the theater, besides the fact that he, like, when I say he updated it and he put electricity in, I mean, that is akin to essentially tearing it down and rebuilding it. I mean, he put a ton of money into this thing just so he could put on shows for his friends initially. He didn't understand that theater jewelry was not real jewelry. Every piece of theater jewelry was real jewelry. He had costumes that cost $10,000 at the time.
Wow, what an
he
artist.
was blowing
Jesus.
huge dollar amounts to put on these productions.
Well.
You can do that
16
when you
million
make
a year.
16 million a year.
16,
Yeah.
What else are you gonna do?
You can just fund any project you fucking want because you can be grossly irresponsible with the money.
You mean feudalistic societies don't work? Crazy.
Dude, that's not what this is about, bro.
Fuck you, Karl Marx.
No, well, so two things were true. One, he loved jewelry, loved it. And two, he didn't realize or know or care that all stage jewelry was in fact fake because there's no fucking reason it needs to be real.
I mean, you're making
he
16
loved-
mil a year.
What does it matter?
And fair point. Fair point there. So the $10,000 that he spent on some of his leading costumes equals to over $1 million, $1 million US today.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a pair of shorts that cost me like $40 from North Face. North Face, if you're listening, I wear North Face. And I got a shirt I bought in Thailand for like $2. Thailand, if you're listening.
If you're listening, Thailand, stop listening.
We'll take your GDP, Thailand. We'll take the entirety of
Just tell us you'll host us.
Yeah.
Give us a house and a place with internet.
Yeah, Thailand is the richest country in Southeast Asia. Thailand, if you're listening.
Holla.
We're
I
kind
have
of
shown up
okay
tonight
with you.
All my jewelry, all my best jewelry is on tonight.
Whoa, we're very okay with that.
All my best jewelry is from Thailand. So that's
That's the truth. Yeah, it's made in Thailand.
All my
That is
T-shirts are made in Thailand. All
Mhm.
those boys
Yeah.
I order are from Thailand.
Most of the boys.
You got to cut your own joke, KY.
know.
You got
It
to cut
was-
your own joke.
It was sitting there for so long, and I was like, "Well, I'm going to say it." So fuck it.
Yeah. Don't cut that joke. Don't cut that joke. Don't cut
Thailand
that
is the only country I can be like my true self. You know what I mean? And we're gonna jump back in after I ruin the podcast. This is Big Cat. I just want everyone to know that I ruined it. Here we go. Let's jump back into whatever the fuck low ratings Kyle was talking about. Let's go.
Damn.
Oh, that hurts so much.
I'm savage. I'm a savage man, and KY likes it though.
So we got
Likes it.
Mr. Henry Paget, right? So he's got his theater, whatever. So he takes a show on the road, and he's like actually traveling around Europe. Well, probably just like London and his friend's house, and he's taking his little theater troupe down the road. And it's kind of the biggest it gets. It's never like a huge thing. As he's taking a show on the road, and as he's going around and seeing performances and trying to kind of be known as this weird theater person, and also now as the 5th Marquess of Anglesey. So he's out and about, right? Him spending so much money on his costumes and shit, there is just a room full of clothes with real fucking jewelry all over it, right? And it's not, you can't stick all those clothes in a safe. They're just sitting in a room on hangers. This invites a lot of theft, an opportunity for theft against this young man. This is an interesting little tidbit. Yeah.
Shocking.
It's so shocking. His most notable theft is in 1901 when he was at the London premiere of the stage adaptation of Sherlock Holmes, which Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was at. His French valet back home, so not in London, took the opportunity to steal $50K worth of jewelry. And that's $50K at the time. So millions of dollars now, right? Yeah. Paget, with the help of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, caught the Frenchman, along with real cops, by the way. But he actually used the guy who wrote fucking Sherlock Holmes, created Sherlock Holmes.
Shit.
And
Hell yeah.
he caught his valet, and the valet was sentenced to 5 years in jail. The jewels were never found.
What?
That's
Yeah.
how
Worth it.
That's how
So this
Worth
dude,
it.
this dude did 5 years in jail. Jewels never found.
Yeah.
Sick. He got away with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there were some other reports to the fact, like they found in France, it wasn't Interpol, but whatever existed at the time, some of the French cops found some of the jewelry being fenced and sold different places, but none of it was ever actually recovered. They kind of
Look, this gem is one of the gems that was sold later. I don't know.
That's right. If there wasn't a bad French
honestly,
accent,
I think the listeners know I'm gonna just pull out the worst podcast or the worst accent ever to do for this podcast.
Whatever you
They
got
know
to
that.
do, baby.
all I did when I was reading over that little it was like one sentence where like, oh, some of these French cops actually found some jewels at some point, but they were never recovered. I just imagine they do the bust. French cops go to work the next day with like a giant fucking brooch made of like enormous jewels.
I don't know.
We had them and then they were gone. Nobody really knows where the jewels are right now.
Zipped away. It was gone. I don't know.
I don't know. Who's to say? And he's got a diamond in his fucking front tooth.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I got only gold teeth. That's been painted off.
So
It's like Hitchbot, but worse.
somehow
it's
worse.
It's hand job bot, but worse at this point. Yeah.
Hand job bot. That's accurate. That's mostly factually accurate.
Bad.
I will say,
Jefferson.
once and for all, release the Big Cat tapes.
Release the big cat.
Oh my God, we've struck gold in this podcast, my man.
Gotta release the Big
I
Cat
don't know what to
tapes.
say. Roger Goodell just recently said, like, Colin Kaepernick, you can kneel. That's cool. And I got KY out here telling me, release the Big Cat tapes.
Release them.
I don't know.
It'll clear my name. It'll clear your name. It's gonna be great.
Jesus.
It's
I don't
not
know
gonna,
what to do
it's
now.
not going to clear your name. You're both monsters. We're all monsters.
True.
We're 5 monsters hosting this podcast,
Well,
by the way.
4 monsters and Connor.
That's
That's
true.
the
That's
real-
true.
Yeah. Anyway, so Mr. Paget, right? So he gets his stuff stolen by the Frenchies, whatever. That's just a notable thing. So as you can all tell by now, he has a penchant for spending that motherfucking money, spending the people's money, as Justin would point out, which is actually a great point. So these are some of his purchases that I did see in multiple locations. So as we said before, he bought real jewelry for all costumes in all performances. And there were backups of these. So he had gotten like a fucking cloak or something stolen and he would just fucking replace it. I mean, not use it for the performance or use something else. He would get it remade and get it replaced.
Right. As you do. Like, you're performing. You want a backup.
No, a backup.
You definitely
Mine
want,
too.
I want all gold jewelry. And then if I need it, I need all gold backup. You know what I mean?
Just in case. I need gold in case my gold is gone. I'll have more gold for it. He had an entire room, and imagine some giant fucking house, entire room of furs. For coats, for throws, for blankets, furs.
I already love this man.
Yeah.
So he has my entire shitty duplex full of coats, golds, and furs.
No. He would fill your duplex with just the furs.
Mhm.
Throw my shitty ass duplex out.
I'll get into why it's a pretty good chance that the volume of this it's incredible enough for the amount of money he was spending, right? So this one actually blows my mind. He bought the entire contents of a Parisian jewelry shop. So imagine you're walking by a store, you look at the salesperson and say, literally everything you have.
Yeah.
I'm going to take everything you have right now with me, and then I go with that.
How did he fund this?
It's all
Okay,
this. It's
16 million a year,
$16 million a year.
I mean,
As they used to say back then, his wallet was dummy thick.
yes, Queen, yes, it was. But like it was this shit all the time though. It was like instead of like even a rich. I don't know. My assumption of a rich person is like I need some coats, so I'm gonna go buy 5 really nice coats. He would go buy. I'm not kidding you, like 100 really nice coats. He would be like, all the fucking coats you got.
And
This
this jewelry.
jewelry-
KY does not know
jewelry.
rich people.
So he bought a car, not novel. He made a bunch of customizations to it. Most notably, he changed the exhaust to smell like roses.
No, he
Legitimately.
did not. No, he did
Legitimately.
not.
Way.
No
That's
fucking
not a
way.
real thing. How do you even do that?
They showed the back end of it, and it had some fucking contraption that essentially, I think, as the exhaust came out, it heated up this giant tub of perfume, and then he just rolled around with a giant tub of perfume,
Oh my God.
splashing all over the fucking road because he's a lunatic.
Yeah.
He
God,
wants
I
to
lo-
smell
I
nice
love-
when he drives by for
I
the
love-
people.
Remember,
Yeah.
he's not French though.
I will go as the French accent. Fuck off.
He's French now. It works better.
He's
Honestly.
Angolese now, baby.
Does work a little bit
He's
better.
got to change.
Well, he bought so much French jewelry that he probably did get an accent. I think that's
He did.
probably right.
If you
That's
pay
transactional.
enough
They
in
give it
France,
to
you
you.
do get
They
the
give
accent.
one to you.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's how it works.
Yeah. Again,
Remember,
it's
like
science.
Madonna had an English accent because she married an Englishman, and this is how currency and accents work.
That's because she was insane. He had dozens and dozens of dogs, and like we all love Small Kevin, but do you need 40 Small Kevins?
I got a question.
Yes. You need
What
small
kind of
covers.
dogs are we talking about here? Because
Um,
I have one for those of you listening. I have one small Kevin in my care.
That's a lot of penis.
Small Kevin is a German Shepherd, and he's a lovely young man
mhm.
with a very large peen that comes out of his sheath and drags across my fucking carpet.
And
your
couch.
couch.
Don't forget your couch.
and your
and-
truck seat.
My couch,
your
my
truck
truck
seat.
seat, my pillows, and I sleep with it.
Ugh.
Not his penis, just the penis slime.
Slime.
Just the
Is that
penis
slime?
slime that comes off my dog's
The
cock.
dried slime. It crackles as your face touches the
So,
pillow.
anyways, the point is, I cannot respect this man unless he is living with all these dog penises that he has purchased. With
Well,
all
if
this-
you could afford 40 dogs, you could afford someone to take care of your dogs
There you go. Connor's thinking
someone-
like a rich person.
and someone to take the slime of the
true.
dog penis on their pillow every
That's
night.
right.
I never thought about this. I've been just taking the dog penis slime myself.
You hire 4 people to take the dog slime of 10 dogs
That's
on
right.
their pillows.
That's right. You
That-
gotta you send out money for people to take that slime cock, the cock slime.
Mm-hmm.
Just take it. It's theirs now. They own that piece.
That's
And on top of
capitalism,
that,
baby.
you have someone making new pillows every day so that you have a new pillow at night. It's
Yes.
got no dog cock slime on it.
That's right. If you're worried about the cock slime and the dogs are coming from, it was mostly poodles.
That makes me feel better, I think.
no.
Yeah, full size
Was it-
poodles though. Full
That makes
size.
me feel worse.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not my kind of dog. I don't want to disparage people and their
Mm.
dogs and breeds and all that other shit, but a full size poodle just does not make me a happy person. So you guys can keep them.
If you have a poodle and you're listening to this podcast, don't.
No,
Wow,
please listen.
okay.
No, follow us on
Hey.
social media. Go to letsknowpeoplepodcast.com. Hit us up on social media. It'd be great.
Don't listen to J Money. He's got a weirdly boomerang shaped dick. We love anyone who loves animals.
So he bought, and I'm just going to move right past it. He bought another car. So this is truly impressive, though. He bought another car that was so huge, they built it on a train carriage. It had revolving chairs, tables, cabinets, solid silver fittings. It was essentially a car that was built as a train car that went on the fucking road.
No,
Mm. I
Just
love it.
No.
Yeah,
I love
like
it.
this.
Yeah,
I
I,
love
was
it.
like, that is the most baller fucking thing I could think of. I think he actually built a bus before real buses were real. Like, he built a fucking tour bus to go around England, I guess.
Yeah, this thing is like 20 feet wide.
Yeah,
Like, fuck you, get out of my way.
yeah. Like,
I'm rich.
he didn't have to make it a certain width. He was just like, oh, how wide is the train? Yeah, that's how wide I want it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. And apparently it cost $300,000 in today's money.
Holy
Well, the
shit.
thing is, if I want to tell peasants, fuck you, I will absolutely build a giant vehicle to run them over on the fucking road. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I'm rich. I love being rich. Fuck you, peasants. Let me run you over. I think that's where he was at.
Yeah, I get that. Like, when we make so much money off this podcast that I can roll by all the, let's call them proletariat on the street
Mhm.
and say, fuck you, pay my bills for me as I shit my potpourri on you,
Mhm.
as I drive my train down the street. That's where I want to be. That's the true mark of wealth.
It's
Mhm.
it's an unbelievable achievement, but man, would it be fucking sweet. Long story short is he built this thing one off because he fucking could. And nothing says fuck you peasants like a train whistle coming down the road at you.
Yeah, you fill this car up with like the skins of peasants And
Foreskins.
the foreskin. Never
Yes.
mind. This joke is shot. Thank you, Sean.
Deeply personal
You
all of a
are
sudden.
very welcome.
Never mind. Fuck this joke. Okay, KY,
All
go
right,
ahead.
next joke. Here we go. So this is like saying, like, this is like turn of the century. This was like before cars were really a thing.
Yeah.
So cars were very like newfangled. To put it in today's sort of comparison, this is like driving down the median of a highway in like a flying car.
Yeah.
Just like bare ass out the window.
Yeah.
Mooning all these drivers.
With a
saying,
train
"Fuck you,
horn."
I'm going 120 down I-94. Fuck you.
Yeah.
You're stuck in traffic, and then you see George Jetson flying above you, basically with his ass to the window saying,
Yeah.
fuck your mother. That's
Yeah.
what he's doing right now.
There was never any mention of a train horn on there, but I still assume that the train horn was present.
Yeah.
I always get bogged down in the logistics of this. Like, there's got to be like fucking 6 people trying to get this thing down the road, because roads are also, they're not wide enough for this at the time either. But on top of all that, he was a crazy bad driver. So he had the car with the rose petal perfume coming out the back. He had this fucking behemoth tank he's driving around, or somebody's driving around. He was known to be a bad driver. So if you saw any of his shit coming down the road, people just got out of the way, because he was always speeding. He was always driving recklessly. He like totaled a bunch of cars, didn't care, bought another one.
I mean, was he going like 7 miles an hour?
That's right. He probably hit other horses. Like, he's fine.
And that's how you know you're aristocratic. I'm going to just fucking ram your shit and take whatever punishment.
Yeah, so he just had some extravagant purchases, and this was all on top of his like probable, let's just say, general bullshit spending of like, you know, he didn't buy like just like, oh, I'm gonna go like get some underwear. Like, he literally had handmade underwear with gold laced stitching the whole way through. His suspenders that he wore under that no one ever saw were made with gold, solid gold buckles, sterling silver, everything. Like, every single thing he touched he just spent the most money possible on.
I love this dude.
Oh
by the
yeah,
way.
dude, he is like kind of my fucking hero. Like,
Yeah.
and not just for like the unabated wealth and all of that stuff, but the fact that he was like, I just imagine one of his buddies, his wife at the time, whoever, was just like, man, there's so much money here, you couldn't even spend it. And he was like, oh, you don't think I can?
Yeah, just the reckless abandon for which he like spent money is kind of brilliant to me.
I'd imagine this man as Scott Disick, quite frankly, who to my knowledge is somehow connected to the Kardashian family.
Yeah, is that another Kardashian reference on the day?
Yeah. Yeah, the second. That's our second. I just want everyone to keep count. Second.
Someone's been watching a lot of E lately.
Someone knows what they're doing. Someone knows what they're doing.
No. The Kardashians are poisonous rich people, and I could definitely see how this guy at the time would like fall into that category, right? Like,
I'm just trying to give some reference of someone with way too much wealth purchasing stupid items.
Yeah, dude, you're 100% correct.
Okay.
100%. Unsurprisingly, he blows the fucking kitty on all this shit, right? Like, he goes broke. So in 1904, he and the estate has to file for bankruptcy, right? So think about this, though. He took over the throne in 1898, and in 1904, it was blown.
Wow.
So it was his reign, quote unquote, was a little over 5 years. That was it. And he blew through $16 million a year. Unbelievably, his debt in 1904 money was $700K, right? Which in today's money is $80 million. So he had all that money, and then he was $80 million in the hole by the end of it.
What do you do? What was he doing at that point?
I mean, he had to be given money. Like, it was like, you almost couldn't believe the amount of like the jewelry he had when he bought out that Parisian store. Like, that was probably a few million, right? He did that shit like monthly, like weekly. He was doing this. He would just crazy. And then he had all these ongoing expenses. So it just built and built and built. And then boom, it was gone. And it was whatever, fucking jigs up. It's over, dude. You're 80 million in the hole. So the estate gets managed by trustees again during the bankruptcy process, blah, blah, blah. The reason I think that his his wealth and the amount of materials that he actually had is impressive, is they had a 40-day sell-off of his shit. 40 days. Now, I've never been to an auction or any of that shit, but my guess is you don't want it to last too long, right? You want to get through it, you get the shit sold, you move on. The volume of stuff was so high that they had to get through. It took over a month to get through all the shit.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
Like that.
I mean, like this wasn't like your backyard garage sale. This was like
740 over here, 740 over here,
Yeah.
800, we have 800, and 900, we have a 900 over here. On my here, 1,000 over here, we have 1,000.
But it would be that times like 10, and then it would kill every one of those auctioneers because they would never stop talking.
They would never stop. They would just
It was fucking 40 days and nights of trying to get rid of this guy's shit to get to zero, to bring themselves back up to not 80 million in the hole, right?
And I just want our listeners to make us wealthy enough that we expose that rich. You know what I mean? That we
Make me rich enough to enter the elite.
enter the elite,
subversively.
and then we'll take them down from the inside. That's
right.
what we
We
got.
will drain the swamp for you.
Keep fighting the good fight. Keep fighting the good fight. You
Make
listen.
us rich.
And the
we
money.
will drain the swamp.
Yeah.
You give us more money. We rule the world. Everything's going the right direction.
Yeah,
Yes.
and let's veer away from the term elites and say cool guys.
Cool
Say
guys.
that term.
We're just some cool guys. You know what? I'll make a promise now, and there's no historical reference here. But if you give me all the wealth and power, I'll give it back.
Yeah.
When I don't
Yeah.
need it anymore.
Yeah,
I'll give
totally.
it back.
And
I'll give it back.
I won't double cross anyone. I won't get addicted to the power of the money. I'll give it back. So anyway, so they work pretty hard to sell all his shit off, trying to fucking, I don't know, get up to zero, right? And basically he doesn't vacate the throne or his throne. He doesn't vacate his title as the Marquess, the fifth Marquess. He basically is all of the responsibility just taken away from him like a fucking child. They're like, dude, clearly you couldn't handle this shit. You're way out of the league. Like, you're done. He does what every good rich kid does, and he fucks off to Monte Carlo after all this stuff is over and was like,
Oh my
I'm
God.
done.
It's my favorite place to go when I fucked up as a rich kid.
It's a rich kid. I just have to go to Monte Carlo.
I knew
I'm gonna
that
make
when-
it all
when-
up playing blackjack.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It sounds like an Archer episode.
I mean, really, it's fucking bananas, and there is a little bit more to the story. So after everything was sold off, he was given £2,000 a year to live on, which it's like, oh, that's not that much money. In today's money, it's $280,000.
Yeah, totally not enough. That's not enough.
Yeah.
for
How
me.
do you live
Not
on
enough.
that?
Not
How do you
enough.
As a human being, how do you live off of
live
that?
on that?
If you only have
I
one
can't imagine.
manservant and an underbutler, you're not getting by, really.
Honestly,
Yeah.
you are so fucking poor.
He doesn't have enough employees to spit on a day-to-day basis.
That's
What is
exactly
he
right.
doing?
That's
How
exactly
can
right.
you live like that as a human
He had to
being?
give up
How do you
20 of
live
his
like
40
that?
dogs.
That's right.
It is suffering.
It is suffering. Like anyone that can survive on less than $250,000 a year is not really living.
They're not.
Yeah, you're really just a piece of shit at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, why? Please keep all of this in because I just want people to know that 250,000 a year is a brilliant number.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
any of us hit
Yeah.
that, we would think we're fucking through the fucking roof. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
just-
we
just
if
so
we
we're
have
clear-
a podcast make $250,000 a year, I will personally kiss
Done.
COVID or not. I'll
I will
kiss every
literally
single one
walk
of our
around in
supporters.
only cheetah printed suits for the rest of my fucking life, like a lunatic.
It's like you're not even a millionaire. You're like, I make enough to not starve, and I'm rich. So, as he fucked off to Monte Carlo, he died a year later from
What the
complications
fuck?
of tuberculosis. Yeah,
Ooh, you got the TP.
got that TP
He's got
death.
that
Guy from the
TP.
TP and the TB.
Yeah,
They filled that man's body with toilet paper.
yeah, and they
It's
killed
scary,
him.
It's scary, and that's how they used to mummify people.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
killed him.
It
That
used
is
to be
true.
on
That
the
is true.
outside.
They
and
got
then
it all
decided to
wrong.
put it on the inside.
Well,
Whole
no,
new
you gotta
mummy
go inside.
situation.
You got to go inside to kill someone.
Those are some ugly mummies, let me tell you. Jesus.
I
And
just
Woo!
wish people knew the facts about mummies, and that's
and
what
that's
we
just it.
talk about
It's this is a primarily educational podcast.
Mhm.
So back to our boy, right? So he dies at 29 years old, right? You know,
Oof.
what a life, dude. This guy fucking burned his flame fucking bright.
Hold
the
up,
last 5
29?
years. 29.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
29.
Short and sweet.
I gotta say, KY, while we were talking about this, I looked him up as I do for every episode. I looked him up. I saw pictures of this guy. This guy was burning bright in every single picture that I brought up of him. And there are hundreds of pictures of this guy.
Yeah. And unsurprisingly, he would hire photographers, get clothes made for the photo shoot, and use real jewelry. Like it didn't matter. It didn't matter, right?
That's not what you guys do for photo shoots?
Not usually.
When I go in to get my photo taken for school, it is all handmade clothing with beautiful jewelry.
Yeah. That's actually the only time I see you wear that many rings, but it's a lot of rings.
Absolutely. I basically
That's
look
when he
like
needs them.
the rich Persian emperor from 300 every single time.
Yeah.
Where I'm
Xerxes,
just
baby.
walking.
Xerxes.
Xerxes, I'm sorry, yeah. Bald, lots of jewelry. Consider me your god. That's what I tell
Very
people.
deep
Yeah.
voice.
Like shirtless, but more jewelry. I didn't.
Definitely more jewelry, and you're more insecure when I'm shirtless.
Right. And as someone who interacts with a lot of students, I have to question why I always see a nipple in these pictures, but there's always a nipple.
Always a nipple. I do try to emphasize the nipple a lot.
Yeah.
They can change the coloration to make it hyper pink is the color palette I'm looking for.
Ryan, Teacher of the Year, hyper pink.
Hyper pink.
Hyper pink. So to take a step back and to look at this young man, to go whoop, 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 a little bit back. So he got married in 1898. In November of 1900, while he's still alive, his cousin wife actually filed for an annulment of their marriage due to, you guessed it, non-consummation of the marriage.
Oh, what does that mean?
Oh.
He was gay.
Yeah. So they never fucked.
Not
And-
even once.
I mean, non-consummation means it's
They didn't do it.
They didn't
He
do
never
it.
he never even got like drunk enough to pretend that he was into it,
Nope.
which I
It was
swear
a full.
is the last 7 of my girlfriends.
So I'll go down the road a little bit here. So oddly, the annulment was withdrawn a little bit later in the year by her, and so they stayed married, but the annulment, the filing for the
Raised
annulment
flags.
is like, yeah, it's officially on the record, right? Like there's no taking that back. She can withdraw it, but it's officially been down. And I think that to me was a way for her to be like, listen, I'm gonna go have sex with a bunch of guys who want to have sex with me, and you can just have sex with a bunch of guys that you want to have sex with, and then everybody will be happy, but we'll stay married.
Okay, I do got a question. What if they were having sex in the same pool of guys?
That's dangerous though, right?
Because you're in these towns.
Husbands?
We all know how these towns worked back then. I would assume you're having sex with the same men.
Yeah, Connor, that's a good point. Connor said Eskimo brothers, but then Eskimo cousins because they are
It
cousins.
would be, well, they are already cousins. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. So would they
Yeah.
be? They're just Eskimo siblings then, right?
They said that the couple remained estranged until his passing. So
Okay.
my guess is she probably actually wasn't around that much after the annulment and all that. When she kind of realized it wasn't going to happen and there wasn't going to be babies and they weren't going to continue the line, she was like, I'm out.
I would not want that woman around either. Yeah, fuck her.
Yeah. He clearly, yeah. On his death, the family burned all his diaries and letters and manuscripts, and God knows he probably had written a lot of plays that were terrible just by the shit he was up to. And they didn't really go about celebrating a royal death the way they normally would have. Like, long story short, is this whole thing was kept pretty well under the rug. And initially, it was seen as like, all right, this guy's a bit of an embarrassment, right? Like, he burns through the fucking cash. He costs the taxpayers a bunch of money. He fucks up the estate, changes the name of it, changes the chapel, like goes against the family, this or that, right? And then it was sort of realized like, it's probably because he was gay or he at least was, because you don't want to do labels, but he was at least experiencing a lifestyle that nobody there was prepared for and was certainly not going to be congruent with having the traditional royal life at all. So I'm actually pretty sure that when he blew the kitty and they could tell him to fuck off to Monte Carlo, that they were probably pretty jazzed about that because he could stop making such a splash in this really incestuous community that they all participated in.
Yeah.
It was referred to this way, so I'm going to use it. A bunch of queer scholars that research LGBTQA plus all that fun stuff, who research like basically people from the past who based on lifestyle and choices and other, not choices, but how they live their lives, were presumably gay or somewhere in that suite of lifestyles. And a lot of people just think he was gay, or that he was possibly questioning, because he did a lot of, at the time they considered it quote unquote cross-dressing. So he would, for a lot of his performances, he was dressed in a female role, which is not super weird for acting, especially kind of back in the day. You know, men would play women, women would play men. It was part of it.
That's how you get the Oscar nowadays.
That's right. You gotta honestly ask. What is his name?
Leo.
No, I was gonna say it's from Tootsie. Justin Hoffman. Damn it, I knew it was a D.
You gotta ask him.
Ruin the fucking joke, son of a bitch.
You gotta be gay, be a woman, be a Holocaust survivor. That's how you win the Oscar.
It's the only way to do it.
Did he get an Oscar for that?
Yeah, he did. For Tootsie? Well, now that you ask, now I'm not sure. But
I was just saying it because it's the first thing I think of a guy in a dress or somebody I knew.
Robin Williams really stole that role and made it amazing. Mrs. Doubtfire. Give it to me.
Yeah, definitely.
I was going back to Some Like It Hot with Sean, help me out.
Lemon,
Jack
right?
Lemmon. Yeah.
Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, definitely Jack Lemmon. That was one.
And the other guy was goofy, but it wasn't Walter Matthau. I always wanted it to be, but it's just not him. It was one of the first cross-dressing movies ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking Tu Wong Fu.
Oh, that was actually a really good movie.
Yeah, it was a really funny movie.
Oh, but Marilyn Monroe, that was the head of the show.
Definitely.
1959.
But on first movies with gay British men, Kyle, help me out. Let's jump back into our guy.
What? What is that? I didn't follow the first bit. I was like, what?
Whose hole are we jumping back into?
Who's gay?
We were talking about a
whose
gay
hole.
British man. He was
documentaries.
Theater. I'm sorry. Theater.
He's a theater. He's an actor. Yes. And so, yeah. So everyone, all these historians do assume that he was probably gay and certainly up to his own lifestyle. Like, clearly. I mean, this guy, I think for better or for worse, whether you agree or not, he fucking lived it how he was going to fucking live it.
Yeah.
And everybody respects the fuck out of that.
Yeah, I mean, like for the time, like being gay in that timeline, especially as royalty, was definitely frowned upon. So,
right.
Cross-dressing in his own plays is probably like kind of a, I don't know, to me, it's kind of a cool thing.
So my theory is this, and I did, it was inspired by a couple other people who said some of the same things. Is, why would someone who was born into a noble family, and why would they do this? Why would they go down the road of quote unquote fucking it up so bad, living out loud so bright that they blew it? To me, I think it was purposeful. I think that he knew that he would never be accepted for his lifestyle, for the way he was born, and he wasn't going to fucking change. So he got married to his first cousin. They never consummated. Clearly, he was not into it. And he thought if he went and he fucked it up so bad that he could just eventually be left alone and go do his own thing. So what did he do? He spent the money on everything he ever wanted to do, fucking blew it out of the park. And then when they took it away from him, he was actually free to go do what he wanted to do and live how he wanted to live. He wanted to be outside of it because he knew he could never be himself in that environment.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of like a cool dynamic, right? Like
Right.
he was shackled by his money, shackled by his title. And once he was free of that, he could actually do the things he wanted to do.
Right.
Shackled by the social constraint of being someone who is LGBTQ.
Right.
Right?
I mean, is there that extra step though? I mean, didn't he just basically do whatever he wanted to do?
He did whatever he wanted to do, but then under the guise of however it's socially accepted of who I am sexually, right? So it's an immediate of, I married this woman. She's super great. We sleep in totally separate wings of the house.
Yeah.
And
No, that's cool. That's normal.
we do
That's
a lot
totally
of this
cool and
stuff.
normal.
We do a lot of this stuff. I purchased a lot of really expensive stuff. She lets me hang out with guys that I just really enjoy. I think they're super
I almost
great.
like them a lot better than her.
I love them a lot.
My money is that when he truly probably realized at some point, whether he was young or old, or maybe it was in the middle of this whole thing, that this doesn't end just like when he retires. This doesn't end in a couple of years. he only got the title and all the shit that came with it when his dad died. Right.
Yeah.
So like he knows that he has to die in the seat for it to be taken away from him.
Yeah.
And until he's no longer holding the seat, he'll always be he always has to live up to the expectations of the seat, right? Of the royal family.
Where we're at right now with the idea of Prince Henry trying to resign from his spot in family, right?
Right. It's like the pressure of all that and the fame and the shit that comes with it is not something that everybody wants. And especially for him to have, and I'm gonna say at the time, an alternative lifestyle, but to be LGBTQ at the time, obviously it wasn't going to be accepted. And clearly he couldn't live and do the shit that he wanted to do and have it be accepted.
It sincerely doesn't happen. You are born into it, and you do not get to accept any other path.
I mean, the Queen of England has been reigning for like 1 million years, right? And it's like, even though it's just a figurehead position, you know, she can't just decide one day like, I'm going to shave my fucking head, because she represents a certain amount. So these dukes, duchesses, prince and princesses, they don't have like the choice and the freedom to just live how they want to live. So end of the story, I think he burned it on purpose to get the fuck out. In the meantime, he burned it the only way he knew how, which is to be completely fabulous the entire time, and then fucked off to Monte Carlo. I don't want to say somebody can quote unquote look gay, but this guy is fierce in every single one of these pictures of him. Like, look them up. He is 100% fierce in these.
Oh, he is owning the camera.
He's
in
not
every
scared.
single photograph.
He's not pensive. He is striking poses. He's got his custom-made shit on. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Just being beautiful.
Yeah.
Being beautiful. Being
Just
beautiful.
being handsome.
Right. Yeah.
So I just want to say the sources I use Paget and Price, Celebrating LGBTQ Heritage by Alison Oram and Matt Cook. And also the stage, this guy was a stage biographer for many people that were in and out of the stage over years. Cyril Davies. Also, they gave some of the theories about the LGBTQ aspects of his life. So, yeah, man, I was like,
if you have an issue with those sources, fuck you.
Feel free to fuck yourself. Yeah. We love everybody at LKP, man. We do.
Everyone. We love them all, baby.
This is our first suspected gay sub on our show, right, KY?
Yeah. This is our first member of the LGBTQ community, and I didn't want to choose somebody that was like, oh man, it's probably true that this guy's gay from back in the day and he was crazy. It's like, I think that the extravagance and the way in which he went about burning down his house to get the fuck out of this thing was like genius, and that it was so much fun to look at some of his purchases, because they're extravagant in today's terms, you know, let alone. You know, 120 years ago. Like, it's bananas, and it's just a great story, and he is definitely a lesser known person that I think people should know about.
So KY, brilliant story. I knew a little bit about this guy because he's someone that came up on my radar when I was doing research. I almost did a story on this guy.
So do we have a summation in the wings?
Yeah, we have like a little bit of summation. I'm going to be honest with you, listeners. I got a little bit drunk on this one. So my summation is as follows. We had a guy. He was born to a rich and royal family. He was very extravagant, spent a lot of money. Public money? Maybe inappropriate spending of some public money. Put on a lot of shows. I can't really get into the titler aspects of his career because I don't really remember what they were.
He was the fifth Marquess of Anglesey.
Fifth Marquess of Anglesey. I did look that up. That was the only thing I could catch, and I used that for my image searches on Google. Thank you, Google. If you're listening, Google.
Bunch of shit you don't care about.
No, right. We're giving Google our ad money. They can't pay us their ad money.
You know, fuck you.
Just fuck you, Google.
So he was the fifth Marquis of Anglesey. Put on a lot of productions where he was his own centerpiece. Am I right, KY? He was the
star
headliner.
Of the show. He was the swan of every performance. It was always about him. He did have the nicknames the Dancing Marquess, and one of his nicknames was Toppy.
Toppy?
Why? I don't know. I couldn't find any reason. It's just quoted on Wikipedia. So I will say Dancing Marquise, because that's in a lot of places. Marquess.
Dancing Marquess. Okay, we'll give that to him. He married his cousin. There's some cousin loving that we overlooked that I really wanted to talk about.
Nah, we nailed it. I think we're past it.
Yeah, okay. We don't have to talk about my own. I'll skip it this time. In case you're listening, Diamond, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about you.
Yep. So
Pornhub,
we're back. We're back into the summation. We're back into.
All right. Fine. KY's got some more shit to cut. Anyways, marries his cousin. Unfortunately, the marriage is never consummated, which leads a lot of LGBTQ scholars to think that he was homosexual. And I think it's, from what we've heard, pretty evident that he was, which is cool. We're cool with that on the LKP podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so in an environment like that, you can't be who you are, who you're born to be. And for this young man, he needed to be something. He wanted to be something else. He was something else. And he had to erase his estate to be so.
That's good.
I think he lived this shit out loud, man. And he was a lot of fun to read about. Fucking crazy stories, purchases.
This is a great character. Another great character by KY.
Another low rating show.
No,
I don't know where you get the low ratings thing from. I don't know where that came from.
I'm gonna get a bump.
Not a low rating. KY, this guy actually popped up on my radar a couple weeks ago. I think I was gonna do something on him, and it was just his picture alone that I found on Google image search.
Oh man, I'm telling you, the picture is it will sell you all by itself. You're like, who the fuck is this guy? Let's have a look.
He looks fierce and unrelenting.
Fucking wing helmet and shit.
I'm telling you, it's like you can't make it up. It's like, it's not like, oh, he looks super gay in his pictures. It's like, no, he looks like seriously like a fierce fucking model, like somebody who took that photo shoot and multiple photo shoots very seriously.
It is literally Magnum and Blue Steel.
This is
from Zoolander.
Beginning of
100 years prior.
This is the beginning of photo shoots, so you are going to take them